We are set to go with the lesson T and looking forward to this one because it's something that fascinates me. It's time to talk equipment and fitting and lies and lofts and all that good jazz with master club fitter and repair specialist CJ Hertz. CJ, how are you?
Very good. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this because, like I told you before we started, I want to know more about it. It scares me to know more about it because it's so different from what I grew up with playing. But the technology and the things that you're utilizing and your knowledge can really change people's opportunity to play their best golf. And I think that's what I want to focus on most of all. And I'll start with a simple question. Of course, you're located right there in your shop at Family Golf and Learning Center down on Marshall Road in Kirkwood, where you work on clubs and work with people getting the right stuff. I'm going to ask you off the bat the first question. I see a lot of guys that are 15 handicaps that play 7 to 10 times a month in season. What would benefit them from a session with CJ Hertz?
Well, I mean, the big thing is, as little as you play, you don't want to be playing with the wrong equipment or something that may put you in a non-athletic posture. That's really the big thing. I've worked with people here recently, just simply getting them in the right size so they're in an athletic position just to even make a golf swing, even make the attempt to make the golf swing. A lot of things in regards to shaft flexibility and stuff like that. You can do yourself a disservice by playing with something either too stiff or too soft and flex or too flexible.
Well, I want to stress off the bat because I think it's important. There was a time where you went, you got fitted, guy built you a set of clubs or sent off the specs and they built them at the factory. Now people are getting golf clubs. And they can actually come to you, CJ, and really get those set the proper way for them. And to me, that's really amazing.
It really is neat, all the different things that we can do. I mean, you made mention kind of coming up and how different it has changed. I mean, I can remember gluing up a club, going out, testing it, pulling it back apart, putting it back together, go back out the next day and hope I have the same swing to see if it works out. Nowadays, we can change a variety of things even on each individual club head, which brings me to my next point in regards to, I mean, just even that person that plays every once in a while. Again, having those clubs, there's a confidence can be inspired when you are inspired whenever you know you are playing with something that is fit for you.
Boy, you couldn't have said that any better. The confidence that brings you and the importance of confidence in this game and not worrying about certain things. And that's what I want to, I know the one handicap or the, 5 handicap that wants to be a 1, they're coming to see it. They're doing everything they can. But I think it's important for our viewers to know that for the cost of a couple of rounds at a local area public golf course, you can take a look at their set of golf clubs and their swing and utilize Trackman and create a scenario where, and it's not like you're making this stuff up. I used to go to some fitters back in the day, and I go, I'm not sure about this guy.
Right.
You got this. You got the materials to show them what you're talking about, and instead of not enjoying the 2 rounds of golf they paid for because their clubs are wrong and off the bat they're dead, they'd come see you and go enjoy the game.
Absolutely. It's absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about if somebody comes to you with an existing set and they show up, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I have what's called kind of a gapping session or a bag analysis. So it's not always something to where I'm going to be putting you into a new set of golf clubs. Even bringing in your current set, allowing me to take a peek at the bag and see where I can better your bag. I look at the golf bag like a toolbox, so to speak. Everything in that toolbox has to serve a purpose. If it doesn't, take it out. It's just making the bag heavier. Um, but that's the best way to kind of approach it. If you're not really sure if you need to get fit and or what to even or where to even start, bring in your bag. Let me take a peek at it. If it's something that I can alter your clubs to better suit you, we go that route. If it's something that we need to look into, say another set, we can also do that. But nothing's to say that the set that you're currently using can't be made to fit you properly.
If I ask you in your mind what the most important piece of the puzzle is, and I know that to finish a puzzle, you got to have all things working together, and that's the beauty of what Family Golf Center does. They've got the workout, they got the health, they got the indoor, outdoor, they got you, they got. I mean, that's why it's so successful and why it's great what Adam has done, but. Is it the club head? Is it the shaft? Is it the weight of the shaft? Is it I mean, I could go on and on. Is there a key essential that you're always looking for to make sure, hey, if I got that right, we got to start it right?
I guess right off the bat, my first thought is just making sure. So we've got ultimate game improvement clubs. We have game improvement. We have players distance irons. I mean, that kind of list kind of keeps going on. Making sure they're in forgiving enough equipment, but in regards to the aspects of head or shaft, the shaft it's a timing device. I need that thing to stay with you as you swing. I don't need it lagging behind. I don't need it too far forward. So that is kind of, we'll call that the transmission essentially. But the club heads in regards to controlling ball flight from higher ball flight to lower ball flight, that's really dictated on golf ball and golf head, but making sure that they're in the proper kind of category of golf clubs.
All right, before we get to questions that we got on Facebook, you talked about the golf ball, and at the bottom of your page,
coming soon,
the bottom of your page on Family Golf Online, and I recommend everybody go there and look at it because it's got great information. It's got pricing. It won't freak out. But at the bottom it says golf ball fitting coming soon. What's golf ball fitting?
I mean, really, when people start looking at just the overall bag, they skip over the golf ball. I mean, golf ball can play a role in the height that you hit it, the spin that you create, softness, feel, that kind of stuff is all personal preference. There's so many different golf balls out there, making sure you're in the right one. It's huge. You can save yourself some strokes around the green and or get off the tee better if you have the right ball.
Can I get a pinnacle for off the tee and then a 384 Tour Balata
right
the rest of the way? I mean, it really is amazing. And when CJ says coming soon, it's here, and he can probably already do it in many aspects. But if you want to take it to that level where you're matching the proper ball with the proper bats and equipment that this guy has put you in, you can do that. And there are golf geeks out there that are 1s or 19s that are going to do it. So that's something that's available or coming. This question from Chuck: is being fitted for a driver different than for irons? And in many aspects, it probably isn't, but probably in some, it is different.
It is different. There are some things that I can do with the driver that I can't necessarily do with the irons, and vice versa. Getting the irons more dialed in with the length and say lie setup and stuff like that, shaft flex, all that. With the driver, we're not getting as necessarily dialed in, maybe a poor choice of words, but as dialed in lengthwise. With the woods, we kind of go as long as we can, wherever you're comfortable. You've probably seen on tour the guys going back to 43.5-inch drivers, or Bryson trying to go 47-inch plus. So it's different in that realm. The length and stuff like that. But there's a lot of different things that I can do with the driver nowadays with the club heads and stuff like that to alter ball flight a little bit more so than I can with iron, so to speak.
How, they show these guys on the tour, and they have them 205 7-iron. and I mean, again, for somebody that at one time that could play and maybe stock 164.5, and when I stepped on it 170. I mean, it's just am I right in saying that the lofts are a little different today than they were 20 years ago as it relates to irons?
They are, but for a reason. The golf ball is coming off of these irons so fast, and what that does, when the ball comes off faster, it goes higher. So they have to kind of tone it back down, or you're just going to hit moon balls all day. That's a big reason for the change in lofts, is because, again, it's coming off hotter and higher. So they have to tone it down a little bit.
I mean, and that's why I wanted to ask you about Bryson. I keep hearing the 5 degrees. And I remember trying to hit that TaylorMade Tour Burner 7 degree what was like, and then I start thinking 5, and then I think about the magnitude of the head and how much bigger the head is, and with 5 degrees. But I mean, he's got it so dialed in that if he makes the right move, he is going to hit it perfect.
And it is the right move. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, for you to be able to hit a 5-degree driver and then launch it properly, you have to be swinging up on that golf ball.
It really is. I mean, that's at a whole nother level, I think. And would you like to work with a guy like that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Just to sit and pick his brain and just kind of trade that knowledge back and forth would be that would be awesome. Awesome experience.
I figured. When club fitting a set, if a golfer doesn't have a brand in mind they like, how do you go about narrowing what iron to start them to demo with?
Right, kind of back to that kind of the category of irons. Now, brand to brand, they're all good. They're all trying to achieve kind of the same thing, just in different ways. If you don't come in with a particular brand in mind, ultimately the reason I ask the question if anybody does have a brand in mind is because I want to put it in their hands to try, but definitely come in with an open mind. If there's something that I can see that may benefit you, for instance, I had a gentleman the other day that he kind of fought going right as a right-hander, and there are some clubs in particular that can help with that in the iron sets. So that's kind of immediately where I went. And then again, mainly the category is kind of the quick fix. Then aesthetics plays a role. You have to like what you're looking down at. And that's kind of what starts separating the brands. And then, of course, the feels. They're all made out of different materials now. And some are multi-material designs, may feel a little bit different than a solid, say, forged head. So that's kind of how I go about that.
Got an excellent question from Kevin, and this kind of sums up Family Golf and Learning Center with what the answer is going to be from you and I. He says that he wants you to explain bounce, and how does someone determine what bounce is best for each wedge in their bag? Now, again, if somebody's working with an instructor, if somebody's working with Bobby G or Blake, and they're thinking about bounce and they're getting instruction and they're talking about it, that instructor's going to work with you. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, the great thing that we've got here with this family is they don't hesitate to yank me out when they're doing a lesson, and or if I'm doing a fitting or something, and vice versa. I mean, going hand in hand with everything, from the point of kind of bounce and stuff like that. Turf conditions play a huge role. It's kind of the overlooked aspect as far as forgiveness. Going more bounce for someone that is fairly steep with their swing. That way, that club doesn't keep digging down into the ground; it kind of comes right back out, more or less. And then also, bounce can really affect contact point on the face, so it can create more spin or less spin depending on what that particular person needs.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's asking CJ a question
Mhm.
about bounce,
Mhm.
they should be playing at a little different level than in Monpau Kettle, you know, which is good. But that's why you got to utilize people like
Mhm.
CJ and the instructors, and get over there and see them. So it's a great question. We've had a couple of questions
Mhm.
for our instructors about bounce. Our last one comes from Jason, my man Pose Dog.
Mhm.
He says, I bought a new driver last year that I like a lot. Just not sure I'm getting all I can out of the shaft.
Mhm.
Can I get fit just for a new shaft? Uh,
A- Absolutely. Yeah, that's again, you don't want to overlook that aspect. A stiff in one manufacturer doesn't or perform like a stiff in another manufacturer. The profiles of each shaft are different. That's why there's so many behind me right now. Um, you can, yeah, absolutely. It would kind of fall in the category of a quick fit, more or less. My prices are mainly dictated on kind of how much time that we spend. But absolutely, we can bring in your driver. Again, the cool thing about these clubs nowadays is, for the most part, we can pop the head off, put a new shaft in there, and test them out. See them, hit them side by side, see if we're comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges.
how much? This is a question from me. How
Mhm.
much should swing weight, or does it optimally not swing weight vary from your driver to your sand wedge?
You probably couldn't ask a better person that question because my set is set up fairly, I wouldn't say odd or indifferent. It's I kind of play, for the people that don't know, the swing weight is kind of the feel of the golf club, whether you're feeling more head or you're not feeling so much of the head. And that can really alter kind of how you approach the golf swing. So I play my irons a little bit heavier, and then as I get up into my longer irons, hybrids, fairway woods driver, they're actually a lot lighter in swing weight. Women's clubs have a tendency to be a little bit lighter in the swing weight. That's kind of where my woods kind of fall, and then kind of that D3 category on the D3, D4 on the heavier side in the irons, and then especially wedges. But that's something that's really overlooked. I see that a lot when people go to re-grip their golf clubs. You go to re-grip your golf clubs and don't know what weight grip that you're changing into, can drastically change the clubs that you're currently playing with.
And one last question that I forgot to ask.
Mm-hmm.
A guy said that he got thicker,
Mm-hmm.
the thicker grips. His
Mm-hmm.
grips were thicker. Um, is that going to affect his swing?
It can. Now there's a kind of a fine line that you ride between, if the gentleman's got larger hands and he needs that, then maybe not alter it as much. Now, just vice versa on the other spectrum, if he's playing grips that are too thin, yeah, it can alter kind of, he can grip it tighter. You need to have that loose grip. So when we're doing the fittings, that's kind of the final detail that we're looking into, is the grip size, and or even the materials that the grip is made out of can play a role, whether the softness or the firmness, cord, or that synthetic leather that some companies use.
All right. Well, folks, I can't stress enough that it would behoove you and be worth your while to go have a session with this guy and have your clubs looked at, or if you're looking for a new set of clubs, have him direct you how to do it, take you through the process. And you guys are doing a great job down there, brother. Keep it going. And
We appreciate it.
who you like at the Masters?
Oh, you hit me on that one with the. Let's have a repeat.
A repeat DJ within DJ 6 months. There you go.
Yeah,
My man, good fittings to you, and thanks for being with us on
appreciate it,
the
Jay.
recipe. You got it.
Appreciate the opportunity.